Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. Let's look at all the racing from the past weekend and Easter Monday once again. For episode 92 we are heading over to Kenya for the Safari Rally, the third round of the 2024 World Rally Championship. Then back to Britain for the start of both GB3 and the British GT Series, what many now consider the top British racing series of them all. Then we pop over to the US of A and watch some more oval action with NASCAR from Richmond. We have already looked at Formula E and the Tokyo E-Prix, so make sure you check out that video as well. Oh, and subscribe while you're at it. And with that out of the way, let's jump right into this look at the previous weekend's motorsport. Let's start with the Safari Rally, which I completely forgot was on until I saw it pop up on YouTube. Thank God I spend most of my time searching for motorsport on the internet instead of going outside. The Safari Rally is one of the toughest on the calendar, a real car killer, which is a worry because there is only like 8 cars, maybe 9 if you count a returning Jordan Sedonis, plus a handful of Rally 2 cars. Reliability would be a determining factor in this rally, as were punctures, but there were no big crashes, which is a testament to the skill of the drivers not to crash on such a demanding rally. Hyundai really suffered, and Thierry Neuville's title chances took another blow with another intermittent engine issue that caused him to drop a lot of time on the third day and ended his chances of good points before the final day. It was even worse for Ott Tanak and Esa-Pekka Lappi, who had all kinds of issues and spent the entire rally making up time and gunning for Sunday points. Lappi in particular had transmission issues, punctures, and even hit 2 birds on one stage, destroying his windscreen and nearly blinding him in the process. The Safari Rally has been Toyota Town since it returned to the calendar. It was another 1-2 finish here, but their main title contender, Elfyn Evans, was hit with a puncture and only finished 4th. So Kalle Rovanperä was left to win easily ahead of Takamoto Katsuta, and another brilliant Adrien Fourmaux performance saw him take his second podium in a row. By the third day, there were massive gaps between everyone, and only Lappi and Tanak really pushed. That might be an issue with the rules. Everyone was playing it safe. Thierry Neuville still leads Elfyn Evans, but Adrien Fourmaux can't be ignored in third. Worth pointing out, full-time drivers have only won one of the 3 rallies in 2024. As for WRC2, Oliver Solberg had an issue on day 1, and with only 2 competitive cars, there wasn't going to be much of a fight from that point on. Gus Greensmith won, but Oliver Solberg was impressive in closing the gap. The next round is the Croatian Rally in mid-April. Can Evans or Neuville pull a lead in the title fight, or can Ott Tanak close the gap? Maybe Adrien Fourmaux can take his first win and really announce himself as a title contender. British GT kicked off its season on Easter Monday at Alton Park. Some top drivers are racing in this series in 2024, and I think it has truly claimed the crown of Britain's premier racing series. It was a damp start to the race, and we had our first spin of the day and the season at the very first corner. The J&S Racing Audi lucky to get away with not being collected by the oncoming field of cars. Everyone was very sensible until about the halfway point. We got a full course yellow after a couple of cars went off, and the 44 Toyota also crashed under yellows, damaging the barrier and extending the time the yellows were out. It was a very long safety car, and we only had 15 minutes of racing left. The Barwell Motorsport Lamborghini of Rob and Ricky Collard led from lights to flag and avoided a penalty for a safety car infringement, taking the first British GT win of 2024. The second race started with a mass crash, taking out a chunk of the GT4 field and another long safety car period. The track dried through this race, and we got a good battle between Alex Martin and Mark Radcliffe for the lead. Unfortunately, we had another long stoppage. That meant a second Barwell Motorsport victory, with both cars winning on this first weekend. Good racing ruined by very long safety car periods. Alongside British GT, we also had the start of GB3. Many of the top contenders of 2023 have moved on, so a very new look field for 2024. Most notably here was Ugo Ugachukwu. The highly rated Euro 4 champion was warming up for his 2024 Formula Regional European campaign after poor runs in the Middle East and Macau at the end of last year. The race was hindered by an early safety car, and frankly not much happened. Lewis Sharp won from John Bennett, and Ugachukwu could only manage 3rd place. Race 2 was on a wet Monday. Timik Kuharczyk was way faster than everyone else and climbed to 3rd, but Rishabh Jain ended up in the gravel, and that meant the safety car came back out. Just as the race restarted, Colin Crean and Josh Irvin made contact. They didn't even make it to the start line. Meanwhile, John Bennett pulled off a super move to get the lead for the first time from Lewis Sharp. The race ended with James Headley losing his front wing and John Bennett taking the race win. Timik Kaharczyk lost third place after a great drive. He ran into the back of Lewis Sharp going onto the last lap and lost his front wing. The final race was also a bit damp. The reverse grid race, all was going well until about the halfway point. Patrick Hosenroder broke down and then something happened to Aditya Kulkarni under the safety car. The race resumed with 5 minutes left on the clock. Frenchman Arthur Rojon led the whole race, but his Rodin broke down on the last lap and handed the win to the high-tech of William McIntyre. Uga Chukwu is second in the championship after a couple of podiums, still a bit disappointing considering he has raced at a much higher level and has a higher level of experience than anyone else in this series. Lewis Sharp leads the way with our next round in a few weeks. Finally, NASCAR from Richmond, back on the ovals once again. A rarity for NASCAR, this race started on wet tyres as it was a little damp, and after a first very sensible stage with very few incidents, all the cars changed to dries for stage 2. This was a very quiet race with only a few yellows. Carl Larson led a lot of this race and was in and around the leaders for the most part. He took the lead from Martin Truex after crowding him out after a pit stop, but couldn't keep him behind. Larson was then spun late on by Bubba Wallace, who has so far not had the best of years in 2024. Denny Hamlin got out of the pits first and led the field with 2 laps left. Martin Truex and Carl Larson had a bit of a fight on the last lap, making contact multiple times and even damaging Truex's car. Martin seemed to have more of an issue with race winner Denny Hamlin, bumping him after the race. Very quiet NASCAR race from Richmond. Next weekend we have the Cookout 400 from Martinsville, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a few haymakers thrown in that one. So that was all the action from the previous weekend. My race of the weekend has to be the Safari Rally. The jumps, the bumps, the drama. As I have said previously, it's disappointing having so few cars, but it's hard to make rallying boring. Next weekend, Formula 1 is back on our screens with the Japanese Grand Prix, but we also have the BP Ultimate Rally Raid from Portugal and NASCAR from Martinsville, as previously mentioned. Probably no roundup next week. So leave your thoughts in the comments below, let me know your race of the weekend, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching and have a good one.